Hello, everyone. This is my first miniature. It's a Primaris Marine, and it's painted blue and yellow, much like the cardboard standee that they had in front of the shop. As you can see, it's far from perfect. The yellow has large clumps in it. Parts of the model aren't even painted. Blue is dry brushed on just rather quickly and sloppily. But I wanted to share the backstory behind this model. I'd wanted to get into the Warhammer hobby for quite a while. I had a friend who collected Warhammer and had a small collection, and in college, I had met a few people who played as well. But at the time, I couldn't afford to play. As you're well aware, the hobby is rather expensive. A few years later, I joined the US Army and had completed basic training. The last few days of basic training, they give you some time to spend with your family. Unfortunately, I was redirected to another base much farther from my home state than initially expected last minute, but that will be a story for another day. Regardless, I just finished basic training, and my family was unable to attend as it was quite a long distance and it would be very costly to travel there. Luckily, my next training would be one state over from where we lived, so I would be able to see them then. But back to the story. It's family day. Most people are gone with their friends or loved ones, but me and another individual there, we didn't have anyone to show up, so we went with each other. We both were more interested in, I guess, nerdier things. So we walked out wearing our ridiculous dress uniforms that we were required to wear. I think so. We were easy to find in the event that we didn't come back for whatever reason. So we go, we get some lunch off base. This is the first time we were allowed to travel off installation or even decide, where to eat or really decide anything for quite a while. And while we were there, we were looking at things, nearby shops and things we could go visit and do because we were released, I think, around like 10 a.m. And we didn't have to be back until I think it was like 7 or 8 at night. Luckily, we found that there was a game workshop store about 3 blocks from where we were eating. Obviously, neither of us collected Warhammer, but I figured we could just go stop by, look at some pretty models, and if we got lucky, maybe we'd be able to build or paint something. So fast forward to the store. We arrived, and luckily there were 3 people there. One was the employee, and two individuals were sitting at a table painting their armies. I believe the one was painting an Eldar army, and I think the other one was playing a Space Marine army, although I do not remember which chapter it was. The 2 patrons were very nice, and they allowed us to use their brushes. The Games Workshop employee was kind enough to give us each a Primaris Marine so that we could get started. Obviously, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing, so I had no idea what I was gonna do color wise. So I just picked the big standee in the front window. I believe my buddy made it a red marine. I think it was just a custom color scheme. I think he did red and black with some gold, if I'm not totally mistaken. We sat there and we just, we got to paint. They took the time to explain, dry brushing and different ways. We only did base coats for this miniature. We just chatted about the lore of Warhammer. We started with, some more general Warhammer facts, the setting as a whole, kind of the ideas behind it. And then we discussed the various factions that we're playing, going a little bit into the Eldar stuff and a little bit into the Space Marines. The Space Marine player was more talkative about the faction, and I think that was just because they were trying to explain, what we were making, what we were actually painting, which makes sense. So we didn't talk as much about the Eldar lore. We spent the next 2 hours painting before the shop closed for the employee to take a break, and it was nice. It was lovely to get away. No, it's hard to put into words how nice it was to get away and to basically just be allowed to be a human again, to be a person, and just escape what we were doing and what we'd been through for a few moments and live in this fantasy world of Warhammer 40K and take some time to paint these little plastic men that are way too expensive and take way too much of our time to make. I just wanted to make this video and kind of express my gratitude to those people whom took their time to really help us out. I mean, we looked like dorks wearing those uniforms. We walked, I don't know, probably like a mile to get there, maybe 2, as it was quite a ways to walk just to even get off the base in the first place, even if the game store was relatively close to the base. And even though I've painted much better models since then, I always leave this one on my desk. Not because it's my best model or it's because my first model, but because it reminds me of the kindness and how much I appreciate those people who took time out of their day and probably, slow down their progress in making their own armies to help some people who had just happened to wander into the store. And I wanted to finish this video by just reminding you how a small act of kindness can really make a big deal to somebody. You never know what someone has gone through or what they're currently going through. You may soon forget the small gesture or the little bit of time that you took to help them. They may really appreciate it, and it may be something that they're very grateful for long into the future. Thank you for watching.